Back in your life on this Saturday night, March 22nd, 2025. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the UFC London post show right here on Uncrowned on the Ariel Helwani show YouTube channel. It's an old school kind of night. Why? Well, if you're a fan of English MMA, maybe not a night to write home about. Not one for the scrapbook. By my count, the event just wrapped up, by the way. By my count, the English fighters went 2-6 on this night at the O2 Arena. That's 2 wins and 6 losses, and it was highlighted by the main event, Sean Brady submitting Leon Edwards in the 4th round via guillotine choke. It was all Sean Brady. I thought he was up 30-27, maybe even 30-26 going into the 4th, and then in the 4th completely dominated Leon Edwards and submitted him. A massive win for the Philly boy, a guy who took the fight on short notice, guy who became a father for the first time just a few weeks ago, and now very much in pole position to be in title contention. We're going to talk about all of that and a whole lot more. And why do I say at the top of this that it's an old school kind of night? Why do I say this? Because, my friends, it has been 9 long months since we've done one like this. Now, we did do one in October, but that was in the studio. Not quite the same vibes as old school 3-Pac, if you know what I'm saying. If you know, you know. Shout out to the Locker Room app. Shout out to the Spotify Live app. Shout out to the Ringer MMA show. Yes, the boys, they are back in town. We say hello first to the mayor of the Nutmeg State, the man in the hat, the one and only. Chuck Mindenhall is here. Hello, Chuck. How are you?
I've waited a long time to hear you say that, Ariel. That sounds beautiful, man. It's great to be back. And you know what? You know what the perfect thing was? It might as well be 3 a.m. The way you were talking about this at the end, it was just like the old days when it was like in the middle of the night when we record these things.
Yes, and it wouldn't be a post-show, Chuck, without a bleary-eyed, a tired, an overtired, dare I say, perhaps, a little bit on Grandpa's old cough medicine, if you know what I'm saying. He is the patron saint of the Emerald Isle, the host of the critically acclaimed, and how far that show has come in the last few months, the podcast known as The Crack. Yes, he's our man, Petesy Carroll, joining us from Blanchardstown. Hello, Petesy. How are you?
Hello, lads. So disappointed for all those UK MMA fans you're talking about at the top there. But I'd like to just say that, as long as we're reeling off tallies for nations, can we talk about the amazing 2-0 Irish MMA today? Caelan Loughran and Shauna Bannon, absolutely brilliant. I literally cannot remember the last time we came away from an event with 100% accuracy. And then, of course, Sean Brady, an Irishman as well, in the main event doing this business. Fantastic, boys. Very, very happy.
No, it was a great night for the Tricolor. Congratulations to you guys. But really, I was talking to a few people who were in attendance. Not a memorable one. Let's be honest. As far as the O2 is concerned, the O2 known to be one of the most electric and when the times are going good, like buzzing arenas in the world, and this one just fell flat. Now the results didn't help, but just throughout it just didn't feel like there was any type of juice in the building. We'll get through, the major results, but a ton of decisions. And again, if you're a fan of British MMA, not a ton to write home about. So let us start with the main event. When this fight was first announced, of course, it was originally supposed to be Leon Edwards versus Jack Dale Maddalena. Shavkat Rakhmonov fighting for the belt has to withdraw. They move Maddalena to Montreal, May 10th, UFC 315 against Belal Muhammad, and they call upon Sean Brady, who, let's not forget, when it was clear that Leon was going to fight on this card, but we didn't know against who, Sean was very vocal. He said, look, I'm about to have a kid, but I'll take this fight because I understand what's at stake here. Well, he didn't get the fight, but then he got the fight when they moved JDM to Montreal. He took the fight. He did what he had to do. Some people like Michael Bisping called it a nightmare situation for Leon Edwards. Leon appeared to be calm, cool, and collected, very confident all week long. There was some talk of a staph infection. Would that affect him? Would it not? What was the performance in July all about? Was it a factor of the time that the fight happened? 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Is Belal just better than Leon? This was a fight where Leon had to say, y'all must have forgot. I am who I am. I'm still the guy. I'm still a top contender. I'm still the best in the weight class. I'm number one in the rankings, all that stuff and more. And he did not prove that. Sean Brady went in there and steamrolled him from the get-go. The pace, the power, the wrestling, and then eventually the submission, Chuck. Blown away by Sean's performance. We thought we had seen his high point against Gilbert. This, of course, way more impressive. Your quick thoughts on what you just witnessed.
This was kind of the worst case scenario. I think when they made this fight, this was the first idea that pops into your head. And I know I was talking to Petesy about this on Friday. If you just went back to the Gastelum and the Burns fights for Brady, I think he had 12 takedowns for a total of like 20 minutes around that of control time. So we knew exactly what he would want to do. And we knew if he did that to Leon in this fight, that it was going to make for the kind of situation that we had where the crowd was going to be despondent as the fight was playing out, and then Leon would ultimately succumb. I wasn't sure he would get tapped out in this situation. We knew that that was certainly a possibility, but I think it's got to be the worst case scenario for a guy. I felt like when he was talking to you early in the week, he got a kind of accosted for giving all these excuses and kind of talking about the different things that kind of went into his lackluster performance. You could still point to that because he had shown so much mettle, to get to that point, so much mettle, man, and everything that he's overcome in his life and everything to put himself in that situation. This had to be the moment that you see him return and put on a big performance. And instead, I feel like it just kind of, we were talking a little bit before we started saying, like, people are just coming after him on social media and everything else. And it feels like the big moment, the big homecoming moment. He gets one more of those, and he blew it. It's not happening. It's unfortunate because it wasn't ideal circumstances again, but that's not the way we remember these types of things in the end.
PT.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. It's exactly like everyone was predicting. If this went the worst way imaginable for Leon Edwards, that's exactly what happened here today. In terms of where he goes from here, it becomes very tricky. I think he's in a situation now where he will be put up against the prospects in this division. We've been talking about them for a long time. There are many of them who need to kind of usurp this old title conversation that has been going on for so long. Unfortunately, Leon is out of that now, you'd imagine. And look, you asked me about Leon. One thing I will say for Brady is, look what Belal Muhammad was able to do in this division with that kind of skill set. Top heavy, blast double, able to control a guy from the bottom. There are a lot of really good strikers in this division, but if you can grapple like that, if you can wrestle like that, you're going to get there very quickly. You're going to be right up the top very quickly. Like imagine Brady v Shavkat. Imagine Brady v Ian Gary. Imagine Brady v Jack Della Maddalena. I know he's fighting for the title, but the point is, if he can do this kind of thing, as we've seen Belal do, it's going to be very, very hard to beat this guy. It's just, he is a great stylistic matchup for the rest of the contenders in this division.
Well, Belal Muhammad, the aforementioned Belal Muhammad, having himself a night. He is absolutely loving this on Twitter. Everyone has an off night when the bully's in front of them. What time is it in London? Asking for Leon. Don't let him bully you, son. Leon's still on 5 a.m. time zone. Just how good is Belal Muhammad? Leon's going to need a big motivational speech this round. He's going on and on as the fight is going on. Sean copied my homework. Headshot, dead. Retweets his just how good is Belal Muhammad tweet. Retweet someone who says, and Belal finished that dude. Bully's always right, he just tweeted, and I'm sure many more to come. The thing about this fight could have been the sort of referendum on that performance. And what I mean by that is, if Leon would have come out and just absolutely smoked Sean Brady, he could have come back and said, you see what I told you guys? It was the night, I was off, this and that. Now the verdict becomes, no, that was just, you weren't the better man that night. You just got beat. Because there was a case to be made, but then the naysayers would say, well, what about Aspinall? Well, what about Paddy? You got to put Manchester to bed now. No one can bring it up. No one can bring it up anymore.
Right.
This was an awful performance. You had to bounce back and show that you are still that guy, and he did not do that. In fact, what we found out was that Sean Brady is that guy. And now we'll go back to Sean saying, look, that performance in Abu Dhabi, that wasn't me. You know what I mean? Now we could say, like, that wasn't me. And then after the fight, he goes to Dana White, and it sounded like he said something to the effect of, I need that fight. I need that fight. Now, he's not going to get the Belal Muhammad fight. We know JDM is going to get that fight. And I'm not even quite sure if he's going to get next, right? Because you still have Shavkat Rakhmonov out there who fought Ian Gary and beat him in what was kind of labeled as a number one contender fight. in December. And so I see you shaking your head there, PT. Why are you shaking your head? You're shaking your head because he deserves it, or you're shaking your head for some other reason?
No, I just think it's actually really refreshing that we have all these new guys
Mm.
that we can put into title situations, you know? Like I'm nearly like in disbelief that all these new prospects have arrived at the in the title conversation. I think that's very interesting. But now if you're Sean Brady, you don't want to fight back. You don't want to fight Ian Gary who's coming off a loss for Sean Brady. You need to be very selective at this point of who you're fighting because he is knocking on the door. He is right there. And if they hadn't had this fight in place already with JDM, he would be in this foot. He would be in the spot trying to fight Belal again, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna have to fight backwards though, isn't he? Like, where was he at going
Or
into
else don't
something like
fight.
this? I mean, that would be the only option for him to not fight backwards, or I guess you just let some things play out. I guess if they wanted to make Shavkat, I mean, they could do that, right? Like they could do something like that, but everything's so entrenched in front of him right now in terms of the way it's set up. But it's something would have to either fall through, or he would, if he fought a guy like Ian Gary, obviously that guy's behind him in the standings, right?
Yeah, as of right this moment, Sean number 5, but I'm sure he's going to go up. Ian Gary number 7. He had talked about a Kamaru Usman fight. I don't know how much of a factor he is at 170 pounds. He's currently number 3. Shavkat number 2. Here's the thing: we have seen guys get title shots and get injured and not get the title shot. Charles Oliveira. Very recently, right? And so there is a scenario where they say either Sean's going to leapfrog Shavkat or Sean is going to fight Shavkat. Or Shavkat's just going to get it. Like there's really 3 scenarios to play out here. I'm okay with him fighting Shavkat. I feel bad for Shavkat. I don't love the idea of someone getting hurt and then just losing the title shot. So I'm okay with Shavkat fighting the winner of Belal and JDM. I'm okay with him then having to fight one more guy because he's now on a 3-fight winning streak since the Belal fight. A very nice win, a very dominant win over Kelvin Gastelum, a very nice win, a very dominant win over Gilbert Burns back in September, and this one. Or I prefer if he doesn't wait, but he did say he wanted to take some time off. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it's either one more fight or he's next. I'm just not quite sure if it's one more fight, who's it going to be against?
It's a good problem to have. Let me ask you, fellas, this. If it was JDM, like if it just looking at the way Leon showed up tonight, and I know that a lot of that has to do with the way Brady took the fight, dictated everything that happened in there. But if JDM goes in, does he win the fight? Like when I was kind of looking at this in prospect, when I was writing about it, I was like, it's crazy because I think I would have favored him against JDM. I just given the situation, but I'm not even sure now because you're not sure how much of the shine has come off of Leon. So he's only 33. It's crazy because it feels like he's older because he's been around for a long time. But do you guys think he would have beat JDM?
PT, go ahead.
It's a very different fight, right? Like obviously, but you're right in that you can't really take anything from this performance and say, well, that gave me hope that if this was this guy, like we were talking about on Friday, Chuck, he needed to really, and it would hurt his soul to admit this, but he really needed to follow the Belal Muhammad blueprint against Sean Brady. He did not let Sean Brady step forward in that fight. He just chased him down, had him on the back foot. He had no room to explode into takedowns. And he just said, right, we're going to have a boxing match until I want to take you down. There was no way that he was giving Brady that space to take a shot. Brady shot once at the end of the first round. It was stuffed, and then he was stuffed for the rest of the fight. He was finished in the second round. But Leon had to do that. We had to see Leon come out, get on the front foot, get Brady respecting his jab, something like that. Brady actually didn't go for a takedown tonight against Leon until the very end as well, and he was successful. And then we saw in the second round, he just hit a blast double as soon as the bell rang, and it was over. Very hard for me to fathom how the Jack Della Maddalena fight would have went, but Ariel was right. Like, he needed to come out and, send a message. He needed to come out and be on the front foot. You need to go out and get in his face, show everybody, no, I was the champion for a reason. You're not going to come into London. You're not going to beat Leon Edwards in London. We didn't see any of that tonight, unfortunately. I would have loved to seen it.
I don't even think he had like a big moment, like even
no, I don't think
flurry.
He did.
Like I don't remember a single moment where you're like, oh, okay, there's a little flash into the way that Leon brings it. I don't remember even a single moment.
Chuck, my thoughts on your question. The flow of the fight might have been different, but if this exact human being shows up, JDM wins that fight. And we're not really quite sure who JDM is at this point. His last fight was a year ago. He's been through a lot of health issues. That's my concern for him going into this title fight. Belal is very good, and his skill set doesn't necessarily match up well for JDM, at least what we know of JDM. But it just seems like that fire isn't there. And it's crazy to think it was 2 years ago this month, almost exactly to the day, March of 23, where Leon beats Kamaru and just absolutely dominates him, right? Like, if there were any questions about that second fight, he went into the trilogy and put a stamp on it. And then he goes into the Colby fight, and it's like, holy shit, man, this guy, against quote-unquote wrestlers, he has changed the narrative. But Sean Brady is a different kind of wrestler. Like he mentioned in the post fight, what did he say? He was 195, 198 on fight night. He
like
may be short, but he's so freaking strong.
Yeah.
Like he is pure American twisted steel and sex appeal, if you ask me. The guy's back is absolutely freaking massive. He's a problem, man. Listen, I would sign up right now for Sean Brady versus Belal too. I would sign up for that fight right now. I think that's a fantastic fight. And I know there's this fun narrative that, like, I don't give Belal his flowers. Belal was the guy who was getting screwed. He deserved to be a title contender way before they gave him the title shot. And he won that fight fair and square as far as July is concerned. Now, I did have questions regarding, the time difference and all that stuff. I own up to that. But now, like I said, that performance from Leon ages worse, and for Belal, it ages way better. And now we move on, because I don't think Leon's getting another crack. Obviously, he's not getting another crack at the belt anytime soon. And now he has some tough questions to ask himself, guys. Like, I don't know. Obviously he has fights and he could do the thing, but like, is he now, all the way back to, here's a question. I was thinking, if they do Sean Brady versus Shavkat as a number one contender fight, do you do Leon versus Ian?
Yeah.
Is that the fight? Or will Ian say, nah, that guy's, damaged goods. I want someone else.
Leon, Ian's coming off a loss, so.
I know, but look how mad he was that he didn't get a title shot. He put out a whole video saying he was offended.
That's a wild stance to have, as far as I'm concerned, to be honest with you, mate. But Joaquin Buckley's there as well.
Yeah, that's true.
But look, it's actually really exciting for the division, I think. I think it's a really good thing. I think there's a few issues here in terms of we have a lot of guys in a line to fight for a belt. But, it's not too long ago that it was just Usman, Masvidal, Colby. It was just a roundabout of these fights. Like this is a good thing for the division. Ian's gonna get an opportunity against someone. I think it'll be either it'll probably be either Joaquin Buckley or Leon Edwards. There's a great story there with the Leon Edwards fight, obviously with Ian if he wants to go there. And look, it's a former champion. That's a huge win. It'll be the biggest win of Ian Gary's career. You cannot expect to get a title shot on the back of a competitive loss. It's just,
isn't it kind of crazy, man? It's almost, if you had a welterweight division back in the day when GSP could use his grappling, his wrestling, to just kind of dictate fights, win 50 to 45 in a title fight. Imagine if there were four of them, four GSPs, because he didn't have that in his era. That top of the division, man, they're all like this. They're all sort of these relentless, guys who are going to come in there. They'll grind. They'll make it ugly. They'll take you down. They'll punish you. They'll nullify anything that you're trying to bring. I'm like that. They all fight this way. It's one of the, like, as far as divisions go, being stacked and kind of fun in this way because they haven't faced each other. A lot of these guys haven't faced off with each other yet. It's actually a pretty cool division. I just think that some of the guys don't have the. They don't have like electrifying personalities. They don't have like charisma, some of them. But in terms of ability, man, and what they've been able to do, it's one of the more stacked top fives you'll find, I think, probably going through the eras.
For sure. You mentioned GSP, Chuck. Some similarities here between Sean Brady and GSP in the sense that GSP early on lost to Matt Hughes, had to build himself back up, and then come back and fight him again for the belt. And that was his lone loss. And this is Sean Brady's lone loss. The guy's been in the UFC since 2019, and perhaps early on was just sort of quietly working up the ladder. He's just another tough American wrestler who wasn't making a lot of noise, doesn't have, a dynamic, trash-talking personality. But I think like that, we may look back at that Belal fight as the massive turning point in his career, because look at every performance since, a stoppage against legit names in the sport: Kelvin Gastelum, Gilbert Burns, Leon Edwards, each one a little bit tougher than the other. I can't wait to see what they do with him next. Like if you guys were to look in your crystal ball right now, Sean Brady's next fight, who is it against? I think there's only three answers. There's the winner of Belal JDM, there's Shafkat, there's Ian. I'm just not quite sure which direction. What do you think, Chuck?
It's never tidy either. It's like, we go through these kind of things and it never really works out and somebody slips in there. I would say that the one that would make sense, but I'm with you on this. I don't think they should punish Shavkat just because he wasn't able to take his title shot.
Yeah.
But to me, that fight, like you have a very good title eliminator. If they wanted to book it timing wise anywhere near the title fight that's going to happen. I don't even know what Shavkat, what his timetable is. So this is like another one of those
I was told July, August.
Okay. I mean, that's not too far up. To me, that would be like the fight if he's looking for the escalation of guys who are right around him or maybe slightly above him. That would be the guy. But I would be fine with an Ian Gary. I just feel like that for Ian Gary, that's a very tough matchup. I'm not sure Ian would want that. But if he's punching up in the standings, maybe he'd want that. But that's a tough matchup for him, man.
What do you say, PT?
I like the number one contender fight. If they can get that fight made in the summer, I think that would be great. Ian Gary v. Joaquin Buckley.
That's
okay. So you're saying number one contender, him versus Shavkat?
Shavkat, yeah.
Wow. So Shavkat loses his title shot.
Well, I mean, shit, I get off the pot, mate. If you need a knee operation, you need a knee operation. You know what I mean? Fuck
now,
up, bro.
Here's the thing. If he can't come back, that's what his team is saying now. If he can't come back, Sean Brady should be next.
Yeah.
I think so.
Right?
I think so, man. You just had him come in on 4 weeks' notice or whatever it was. Less than ideal. Has a kid, goes into enemy territory. That place I'm sure wanted to celebrate the return of Leon. Shut all of that down. I mean, you go do something like that, man. To me, especially a former champion like Leon, I mean, to me, you've punched your ticket. I would have no problem if they gave him a title shot right now.
Here's the question that gets all of us in trouble. Brady Belal 2, what happens?
Oh, man. Well, I think it would be different because if you watch, like Pete was pointing out, Belal was on him. I just don't think that he would be able to dictate that kind of thing again. Brady's been different since then. I believe in what you said about that maybe being a turning point. I think he probably went back, looked at it, resolved not to be put in that position again. I'd be really surprised if it played out the same way. So I think you would see a different fight. But, man, Belal is one of those guys, too, that you discount a lot of times for whatever reason. I think it's just stylish. His style is maybe doesn't translate for confidence or something, but over the course of time he doesn't lose and he just kind of keeps stacking rounds. So I'm like, it may go for Belal again, but I think this time it would be like a close decision, 48-47 type of fight.
What do you think, PT? I can't weigh in on this one because if I don't say Belal, it's going to get clipped off and I'm going to be called a hater, even though I just gave him a bunch of praise. So I can't weigh in on it. I have to abstain. I have to. Even though I think Sean Brady's a freaking freight train and I think everyone should be worried about him. I have to abstain. Go ahead, PT.
In fairness, you did call that, Ariel. I know you don't want to bring this up.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Tell us.
You called it just before, and I know you don't want me to bring this up.
No. What? That's off the record.
Me and Chuck were like,
no.
We're gonna pick Leon here. We think Leon's gonna win. And what did you say? You were like,
no, stop.
I think Sean Brady's gonna have a dominant win.
No,
you did. I'm sorry,
we laughed.
No,
we laughed at him. We laughed at him, PC.
No,
you fool. That's what he said. We scoffed.
Roll the tape. No, I'm kidding.
No, I shouldn't. Roll the tape.
No. Please. Oh, this tweet that's in my drafts? No. What do
you... I don't know, man. It's a huge psychological advantage to have beaten a guy. Not just beaten him, but knocked him out. I think there's a stat. I think the stat is like 30%. 30% of the time, the winner, the person who lost the first match, will win the rematch. So that would give an edge towards Belal as well. And look, Belal's just better than everyone thinks he is. That's the reality with him. I have picked against Belal so many times, and
every time.
Oh, pretty much. I can remember sitting there in Manchester beside our colleague Chisanga Malata, our good friend Chisanga Malata, and we were looking at each other whoa, this is. I did not expect this to be this one-sided, you know?
Yeah.
And everywhere in this arena is just completely silent as this guy goes to work. Apart from like his father in his corner and a few of his family members, it was absolutely bizarre to watch. But you were kind of forced to watch this. You know, it's like in this silent arena, at like 5:30 in the morning. You're just watching this guy impose his will on Leon Edwards in front of his like adoring public. It's absolutely insane. The guy is just better than everyone thinks he is, and I don't. I'm trying because I know that's how he feels. He has a chip on his shoulder, but that is the reality of Belal Muhammad. No matter what we say, we'll always have a doubt there. And he'll go in, he'll probably win, and we'll go, oh, geez, I didn't expect him to do that. For some reason, that's the way it is with him.
You know what? It's I mean, credit where it's due. He is the best welterweight in the UFC right now, and he is beating everyone put in front of him. And again, I think that win ages a lot better. It ages gracefully. I think after the Shavkat Ian fight, the narrative started to change. Like, wait a second, everyone thought Shavkat was just going to roll through Belal, and then after that fight, people were like, maybe not. And he should be I don't know off the top of my head what the line is. I'm certain he's the favorite against JDM, and he should be the favorite. But man, I would love to see that rematch just because I think it will be a lot more competitive. And I think Brady is probably of the top guys right now. And maybe this is a little revisionist history, or maybe this is just me being a prisoner of the moment. I think of the top guys right now, I think he gives Belal his toughest test. Of the top guys right now. I think Belal beats Shavkat, or at least gives Shavkat a much tougher fight than people were thinking going into that Gary fight. I think that there were a few things that were kind of exposed in that fight. And so I would love to see it. I'm curious to see how it all plays out. The question for me is, right now, regarding Leon, I see everyone killing him. I see everyone saying he should retire, that he's washed, that he's done. Look, we have to remember he just lost to the champion, and he just lost to an absolute freight train. I'm not quite ready to say the guy is done, right?
Absolutely.
Is this alarming? Is this not good? Is this gut check time? You know, are there certain matchups that are clearly an issue for him? Yes, both of those matchups were awful for him. Belal and Sean are not Colby and Kamaru. I think we can all agree on that, right? Just wrestlers, like completely different styles, completely different fighters. This is gut check time. And they have to be very careful about who they match him up with next. Like, they have to be very strategic here because you're staring at a 3-fight losing streak.
I disagree that they have to be strategic. Who's they? The UFC?
No. I'm talking about Tim Simpson.
This guy.
Yeah, his team.
Okay.
His team. No.
Yeah, well,
UFC does what
let's
UFC
be honest.
does.
Yeah, they would.
It's gonna be Carlos Prates, Michael Morales. It's gonna be all of these up and coming killers. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Hey, Michael Page
Right.
might get his fight. Michael Page might get his fight with Leon. That might be one of the easier options. Ian
By the way, it's not a
Gary's
bad
there.
one.
Yeah, Ian Gary's there. But unfortunately, that's the situation he's in now. It's a tales all the time. They will bleed in the new contenders with the fallen champion. And Joaquin Buckley's there. Ian Gary's there. Morales, as I said, Pratchett, Michael Page. All these guys will be eyeing up like vultures circling the carcass nearly. You know, like these contenders now. Like, he'd be a great fight for me. Get him when he's on a 2-fight losing skid. That is the ideal fight for me. That's what
Kind of like
saying.
Diego with Volkanovski. That was kind of how his camp was. They're like, let's get him now. Let's get him right now. It's interesting, man, because I would love to see like a guy like you're mentioning, like an MVP. Like, that's if he fought somebody like that, I think it would really benefit him because he may be psychologically wired a little bit to feed off of momentums and confidence. Like, he might have to have that confidence. If you remember, I mean, obviously the reason that he came, crashing through into our consciousness in a big way was because he was getting beat so soundly in that second Usman fight, and comes back and wins, handles it no problem in the next one, and looks like a different fighter. I mean, a transformed type of champ. Like when he was through that first part of his championship run, it could be that he's just kind of lost something right now, and I would not tempt that against a guy who's going to be a stylistic, nightmare for him again. You would definitely want to put him in a situation where he can regain confidence before you make any big judgments as to whether he's done or not. I do think that he's a guy who feeds off of that, and so he needs a favorable matchup from his camp. Like, whatever they do, he needs that favorable matchup to get rolling.
Listen, if I'm the UFC, I love Carlos Prates versus Leon Edwards. If Prates gets by Jeff Neal, if I'm the UFC, I'm signing up for that. If I'm Tim Simpson and the Chosen team, I'm not so quick to sign up for that. I'm maybe throwing out Michael Venom Page, right? I'm
Yeah.
throwing out someone who's a little bit older, who's going to just strike with us, who isn't. I mean, Practice is a freaking buzzsaw. He's young, he's dynamic, he's
God, another
quick,
one.
you know what I mean? So it's going to be
I'd say
tough.
Gary too. I think Gary is an appealing option for Simpson, like for the chosen team at this point, because
Sure.
he's young, he's an up and comer, he's still got the juice. Like he's coming off a loss, but obviously there was a bit of a moral victory there from him. I think that's more appealing than a Pratchett or a Michael Morales too.
Well, the story is Sean Brady improves to 18-1. He's now won 3 in a row. I mean, what a story for this guy. What a couple months. His beloved Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl. On that same night, he becomes a dad for the first
Crazy.
time.
That was wild.
And then he accepts a fight against Leon Edwards in London just a couple of days later. And then a few weeks after that, he beats Leon Edwards. And he doesn't just beat him, as I told you guys, 49-46 is what I was feeling. He doesn't just beat him 49-46. He puts a stamp on it. He submits him. He mauls him. He runs right through him. And he stops him, which was just, I mean, I'm blown away by the performance. I really
There's always
am.
those fights where, like that second round, the way it starts, where Leon just gets taken down, and
you're just like,
there's always that thing where you're like, man, imagine the helpless feeling that is. Your crowd is like, come on, man, you got to come to life right now, and boom, and you know that this is the beginning of the end. Like as soon as that happened, you knew that it was the beginning of the end. It's just such an existential, like, I you see it sometimes with the GSP fights back then. I always remember that, like, he would start to get a guy, you'd see him kind of breaking him somewhere in the fight. It just happened so quick in this one. It felt over at that point to me.
I thought the third round could have been a 10-8. The way he started that second round, I mean, I keep saying freight train because that's what it looked like, especially with all the tattoos and everything. He just went out there looking
It was
like
a big
prime
tattoo night. Like
Brock
there were a lot of
Lesnar.
tattoos.
Yeah, no, he was on point. By the way, UFC on point once again. They make history, highest grossing fight night event in UFC history, 4.71 million US dollars. Announced attendance 18,583. They've had some great nights at the O2. We all remember with Tommy Aspinall and whatnot. I don't know how much singing and dancing is going on right now outside of the O2. Let us talk about the co-main event because I think we were all expecting a little more fireworks in this one. Carlos Ulberg improves to 12-1. He defeats Jan Blachowicz, who returns to action for the first time since July of 2023. His last fight was in Utah against Alex Pereira in Alex Pereira's light heavyweight debut. And in picking up the win, Carlos Ulberg now has a tie for the I think it would be the the fourth longest winning streak in the UFC. Islam Makhachev is at 15. Merab Dvalishvili is at 12. Dricus du Plessis and Movsar Evloev are at 9. And Ilya Taporia, Khamzat Chimaev, and Ladies Man himself. Or is it Ladies Night? Or is it Jag? I don't know.
Black
It's
Jag.
Carlos Ulberg. Yeah. He's at 8 as well. So shout out to him. A big win over Jan Blachowicz. Chuck, what'd you think of the win and the performance?
Oh man, it was just
Come on, Jack. Go ahead.
it was like
He
it was
just
like
makes a
it was
noise.
like
Ugh.
it was so slap fighting or whatever, like the slap stuff. This was just leg kicking for 15 minutes, and I was I mean, honestly, we talked about this, PT. Like Ulberg had mentioned, he's a chess player, he doesn't play checkers, and it looked like we got a little caught up in like a stalemate of a chess game because nobody really definitively did anything in that fight. I mean, they just kind of mirrored each other. You could have, if you'd have given that fight to Jan in the end, I don't think, would you guys have been too upset by that? I mean,
No.
No, it was
there was
close.
nothing definitive about it.
No.
So he escaped. He escaped with a good win. Like, it's going to be a good victory for him. I don't know if he was very kind of, peeved that through the Alex Pereira lead up in the UFC 313 with Ankalaev that he wasn't considered part of the division that supposedly Alex had cleaned out. And so is this the performance is going to like put him into that space? No, but he didn't lose. And I think that's what he's got to say. Hey, I got through, this Polish tank, I got through. I'm 42 years old. He didn't meet me on my ground. I didn't meet him, but I got through it. You live to see another day, but that's about it, man. That there was really nothing much going on in that fight.
PT.
Yeah, it really wasn't good. It was there's usually so much more nuance to a fight where you just don't have to look at the numbers of strikes landed in each round to determine who is the winner of the round. But you didn't have to in that one. Whoever kicked more legs, yeah, that give it to him, I
It's
guess.
true.
Look, Jan Blachowicz, 42-year-old guy. He's been off for 20 months, former champion, really respected fighter. But Ulberg, to really put a stamp, he needed to put a stamp on something here. He needed to put him out and be like, "What? How have you been ignoring me?" The reality of the situation is, Ulberg's on a great streak, no doubt about it. He hasn't fought a lot of the guys, the top guys
Yeah.
in this division. Who's he beat before this? Volkan
I mean,
Ozdemir?
Ozdemir, and I mean that was that Ozdemir gave him a fight. It wasn't
Yeah.
like he went right through him.
So there's lots of people you can put him in with here. Khalil Roundtree, loads of different guys you can put him in with. I don't think it's it's the type of performance where the UFC will be like rubbing their hands together, especially on a night that wasn't delivering. They want someone to come along and do make a statement, put on a spectacle, and I don't think they're going to reward him with an immediate a title shot because of this victory.
Well, let's talk about those rankings. We do know that Magomed Ankalaev, aka Mohammed Ankalaev, I'm not sure why he changed his name, but it's now Mohammed, and it's Big Ank, by the way. It's Big Ank.
Okay.
If he's changed his
What?
name
Hang on,
again, yes.
he changed his name. He's no longer
Yeah.
Magomed.
On Twitter, it's Mohammed. Last I saw on Twitter, although he blocked me famously earlier this week. So
What'd you just like? You just put up like a clapping.
I was
emoji or
giving him
something?
props
High
for
five?
giving Pereira the. I mean, I guess
You're some dickhead, John Ariel.
Yes.
Clapping hands for fuck's sake,
I was
mate.
trying to be.
I mean, have a bit of decency, will you?
Anyway, we
I block
suspect
man
that.
with big nose. He out. Whatever it was.
Yes. Bad guy. By the way, his nose ain't that small. All right, Uncle Ed, chill out. Chill out with the nose.
I know.
comments, all right?
Shit, you're right. about
Chill
that.
out, bro.
Got a
Anyway,
beak.
Ankalaev Pereira, we suspect that's going to be the next title fight, the rematch. It's the fight to make. Yuri's out there chilling. We know that Jamal Hill and Khalil Roundtree are going to fight April 26th. Ulberg is number 6. There's Alexander Rakic there, which I don't mind as like another step up the ladder. There's
like that, yeah.
Yuri there, which I don't know how much Yuri is going to be thrilled about that, but Yuri's not getting the next title shot, so he has to fight someone. If you ask me, it's either Rakic, Yuri, or the winner of Roundtree Hill. Because Pereira Ankalaev is going to be later on this year, right? At some point, maybe July, maybe August, maybe you know what I mean. So he's not in that picture. And to your point, yeah, he's top 5-ish. Probably after this win, he creeps into the top 5, maybe. Jan Blachowicz, by the way, is number 3. He hasn't fought any of these guys except for Jan. That's like a notable ranked guy. So I would say winner of that Roundtree Hill fight. Prochaska, big step up, or Rakic? PT, what are you doing?
I like Prohaska. I like to put him through the gauntlet.
Gosh.
That's what I want to see. Like I'm watching him fight tonight, and I'm going, well, what did I learn about this? What did I learn about this guy tonight? Nothing. I didn't.
True.
I don't feel like I've learned anything about what this guy does.
Yeah.
At the very least, when you put a guy in against Yuri Prohaska, you know that he will go out in his shield. He will not worry about how much you're going to damage him as long as he can damage you, and that's the kind of fight I want to see Ulberg in at this point.
I mean,
Chuck?
him fighting the winner of Hill Roundtree, though, same kind of thing, right? Like
that
to me. I mean, if you're trying to give Ulberg a little bit of a guy who would kind of match him and accommodate his style, or trying to get into a showcase type of situation in the wheelhouse and all, I would say that one of those guys. Or Yuri. I mean, all of those would be better in that sense than what he just had here. But I agree. I think that you have to see him against one of these types of guys and maybe really shine in one of those types of fights to kind of give him the credit that he wants. Because right now, he just hasn't done it yet. Like, there are guys who put together these streaks in the past who go to 10 before you really think that they're challenged, and then they get beat or they get challenged in that type of situation. I need to see him in one of those, man, from these guys who've been up there, who's not been out 20 months. And I'm not trying to put that, Jan's so tough, man. Like, but being out 20 months, 42 years old, to me, that's just outside of the guys we're talking about. The guys we're talking about, any of them, if he's able to go through one of those, I'd be like, all right, you belong in the title picture at that point.
So if I was if I was leading his career, if I was his manager, if I was Ashbel Castro, I would actually go for Rakic because I feel like at light heavyweight, you just kind of have to be like the guy on the streak. So why go for the top dog? Why go for Yuri when you can kind of move up? You got this winning streak. Let Roundtree and Hill beat each other up. You know, if Pereira beats Ankalaev, which could happen, I don't know if you're going back to Prochaska for a third fight. Just kind of be there as the guy who's on the winning streak. You know what I mean? And that's what I would do. Obviously, they don't have to make that call right now, but I don't. Prochaska versus Ulberg is a tough matchup. There's a big jump, right? There's a big jump right there, and especially this sort of new version of Prochaska, who's a little more, calm, cool, and collected, who's not going to try to put himself in danger and not get hit as much. But
See how perfect his hair was growing in, man. They
oh my
flashed out.
God, it's so fast too.
I know.
I mean, he's like a Chia Pet with that thing. Shout out to Mike Chiappetta.
Lucky guy. Yeah.
But yes, a big win. And look, I mean, Jan's a tremendous guy. Early 40s, had been out for almost 2 years now. It's tough to go in there against a stud, but held his own. And I don't think a lot of people would have been crying if he actually got the nod. You know what I mean? It just wasn't. It was sort of emblematic of the night. Like it was just kind of there, and there were no great moments. There were no moments where everyone was like, "Oh wow," where the crowd popped. I got to tell you, other than Sean Brady, the guy who impressed me most tonight, I think, would have to be Kevin Holland.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland has been up and down throughout his entire career. He can't quite find a home at 185, at 170. He doesn't know, where he wants to stick. As good, I mean, like he's looked good in the past. I was trying to think, like, when's the last time I was like, wow, that's a solid win for Kevin Holland? Maybe July of 23 against Michael Chiesa. Maybe his win over Santiago Ponzinibbio 23. It's been a couple of years now. To look as good as he did off his back against Gunnar Nelson, with the striking as well, almost stopped him early in the fight. Gunnar got saved by the bell. There was some talk that he hit him after the bell. I don't think it was after the bell. It was, in my opinion, it was at the buzzer. I thought Kevin Holland in his return to 170 in a pretty quick turnaround. Remember, he just fought in January 18th, less than or a little over 2 months ago. And I know Gunnar hasn't fought in 2 years as well. I thought that was one of the best versions of Kevin Holland that we had seen in quite some time. What do you think, Chuck?
Yeah, that was great. He's it's weird with him because he had this buzz on his name years ago. He got wrestled like on that ABC card back to back. Remember, they were like boom, boom,
Yeah.
and you're like, you just push him aside. But he's kind of emerged as, I don't want to say like a Chris Lieben type, but like one of those guys who, just needs to win sometimes. Like if he just wins 2, loses 2, like I feel like the UFC would keep him around forever. First, because he answers the phone whenever they want it. Second, he can kind of cross to, I know he doesn't want to go down to 170 at the drop of a hat. He would do it at 185 though. It's very nice for the UFC to have a guy like that who's going to be entertaining, who's going to like have a name, a little juice for anybody to want to come and fight him. He fills that role, but occasionally he does this where he shows up and you start to think you're underrating him again. And it's really weird. And so that's kind of where I was at with it. I thought that I would have, if we'd picked this fight, I don't think we did, Pizza, when we were doing the Friday show, but I would have taken Gunnar, just given the style. I thought if it went to the ground, Gunnar would, have the advantage, and I thought that's where the fight would end up. The way it played out, man, and kind of seeing Holland operating off his back, seeing some of the power return on it, this was one of his, like you said, it was one of the more impressive showings, and it made me think I was sleeping on him again, which I think that's a good place to be with him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he handles the upper echelon when you start to really have high expectations. He doesn't handle that space, but he handles this space really well, I think.
Yeah. PT?
I think Gunnar didn't look great tonight. I do think that he had a chance to win the fight. I think in the third round he fully mounted Kevin Holland. And usually you talk to guys who train with Gunnar over the years. Like I'm not joking you. When we started doing jiu-jitsu sometime in the 2000s, and Gunnar Nelson was a purple belt that was coming over to train with John Kavanagh, and he was known all over the country. Everyone was like, this guy is unbelievable. Like he's like some type of prodigy. And he's just eating people up on the mats all over the place. Then he went to the ADCC and he was against Jeff Monson. Do you remember Jeff Monson? The size of that dude with the anarchy tattoo.
Looked like Sean Brady.
He's a way bigger Sean Brady, right? Because he
Yeah.
was a heavyweight. He's like 280
Cormier beat
pounds.
him back in the day
Yeah.
Yeah,
in Dallas.
monster.
Remember that?
Great grappler. Anyway, it's like I think Gunnar Nelson was 20 years of age, went in there and out grappled him, won at ADCC. This
Wow.
guy is unbelievable. And when he mounted Kevin Holland there, I think everybody was like, oh, well, this is his moment. This is the end of that. And Holland managed to get out and win the fight. Really, really impressive. His guard was really impressive. Gunnar couldn't get past his legs. I kept on, so I was watching it. I was going, if he can get past his legs, he'll finish this fight. Gunnar will finish this fight if he can get past his legs. Just couldn't really do it. Couldn't maintain it. Kevin Holland threatened with triangles. He definitely put Gunnar in more trouble on the ground than Gunnar put him in. And that is pretty incredible. And I think Gunnar probably suffered because of that knockdown in the first round. I could hear him telling John Kavanagh in his corner, like, "Oh, I thought it was the end of the round. I don't really understand how it was miscommunicated like that." But I think the issue with Gunnar is this is a guy that everybody thought would be a champion. Like all the way back in 2012 when he signed, there was a serious possibility that this guy could be a champion. He ran into Rick Story after he got in this great win streak, and he never quite put it back together. But realistically, you can't be taking 2 years out and trying to compete in this division against well-known guys with really good skill sets. You just cannot be doing that. I'm a massive Gunnar fan. I've followed his whole career. I know Ariel, you love his dad too. Hallie's a legend, but that's going to be a tough one. I honestly am thinking, like, what will Gunnar do from here? Where will he go from here?
Yeah, when I was talking to him earlier in the week on Tuesday, I didn't say, like, is there a chance, he didn't say, excuse me, when I asked him, is there a chance this is the last one? But it's very clear that he's nearing the end. He said he was focused on training the rising stars at the gym and just wanted to be there for them. There was no major injury. There's no major reason. He did want to come back a little sooner. He said he was hoping to come back end of last year. But I wouldn't be surprised if he said, like, yeah, I'm good, or maybe just one more. But we are very, very clearly towards the end. Shout out to Jason Carney, super chatter, who says Holland versus Izzy needs to happen now. I mean, I guess that would be Holland going back to 85, and after you look good like that at 70, I want him to pick one. I don't love him going up and down.
I'm with you. I don't like that either. I know that, like,
yeah,
I could see the advantages of it. Most of the time, it's not an advantage, right? Like you have no identity. And
it's probably not good for you. I mean, that's 15 pounds.
I know.
Like, you think about boxers going up 15 pounds. Like, we talk about it for 6 months in boxing. And here's Kevin Holland doing it, every 2 months. It's probably not good for you. There would be a fun fight on paper, and I don't think Izzy's moving down to 170. Also, want to give a shout out to Eric Bolden, who says, Petesy, what was it like to hang with Shane Gillis? Also, Sean Brady, he's one of our own. He's one of our own. Sean Brady, he's one of our own. He has the shamrock there. Now, nice. Petesy, don't answer the question. We're going to save that for Monday because I think the whole squad needs to be there when you tell us.
Come on, I wanted to hear it.
Gallivanting. Oh, he's going to tell us the story twice?
Yes.
I mean, there's not a lot to tell, guys.
Go ahead, Petesy. Go ahead. What were you doing? There I am. I wake up and you're just like, arm over the shoulder. You're drinking. You're feeding each other drinks. Like, what's going on over here?
Splitting the G.
I don't know if we went that far. Yeah, well, we have a mutual friend in Chris Bungard, obviously the fighter, the actor / professional wrestler / everything. Chris Bungard was in town. I picked Chris up at the airport because Blanchardstown's right beside the airport, and I was like, "Oh, I'll bring you into your hotel or whatever." And he was like, "Oh, are you coming in?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going with brother." And then we basically went into town. Chris was like, "Oh, we're gonna go backstage to meet Shane after the show," and I was like, "All right, cool." And from there, Shane said, where should we go drinking in Dublin? And
that's amazing.
That's what happened. A great guy. He was talking about Sean Brady. He was there supporting him tonight. There was a lot of people there though. Like he had to do a lot of running around, but lovely fellow. Was absolutely lovely to us. Got home very late. I'm feeling it today, but all those lads, Chris O'Connor and Joe DeRosa, all the comedians were absolutely great crack. We were splitting the G.
So he stands by his prescription of a couple of beers, like from the SNL skit from a few weeks ago.
A couple of
beers. Did you see that?
Yeah. He can handle his beer a lot better than us. I'll tell you that much. He's a big fucking guy. He is a big dude. Like, he looks like a football player. I think he was a football player. He's like
big MMA fan, right?
Yeah, he was there. He was there today. I think he was like 6'4", like the big
really?
fucking guy. Yeah, huge dude. Huh.
What do
Really
you guys
nice
talk
guy.
about? You talk about like,
We're talking about
you
the
know,
Eagles. He's an Eagles
politics.
fan.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, you
We're
must have impressed him with your NFL knowledge.
No, I was actually kind of saying to him, like, since you won it, you've kind of toned down. I feel like you don't talk about it anymore. It feels like the monkey's off your back, so to speak, you know?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You guys text afterwards, like, had a great time.
No,
Next time you're in Blanche, let me
no, I
know.
don't know how that ended, you know? Like, it was quite hazy when I was exiting. So it might have been, I'm happy that
It's
that
crazy.
Irishman is going home now. you know?
How's he
But,
live?
oh, it was great. Yeah. They were all great. We had a great time. Yeah. It was a brilliant night.
You remember
Fantastic.
those portions? Those portions are still intact, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Pretty much.
And by the way, is Chris Bungard like part of his traveling
No,
crew or?
Chris Bungard is crazy. Like you just so you'd be talking to Chris one day and he'd be like, "Oh, I have to go to Canada tomorrow," and you'd be like, "All right, cool." And then next of all, there'd be a picture up and it's like him and Post Malone, and you're like,
Oh,
"How
wow.
did that happen?" Like
Hmm.
he has so many friends in different areas of the world because of his acting and his professional wrestling, and he's also a massive film buff, and he'll go around visiting the sets of like Stand By Me. And he'll go to the Halloween house, like all this kind of stuff. He's an endlessly entertaining man. He really, really is. And so I was very happy that he could extend that invitation to me yesterday. It was great.
Well, it seems like a great
Wow.
time. Shane in attendance tonight. A lot of luminaries in attendance. The great Jose Mourinho,
That's
the
right.
former gaffer for the likes of, where should we begin? Chelsea, Roma,
Porto,
Porto, Man
Fenerbahce.
United, right?
Mm.
Right. Anyway, he was in attendance, but of course, I think the biggest pop of the night was reserved for the uncrowned champion of the heavyweight division, one of our own. He's one of our own, Tommy Aspinall, who showed up with the rubber ducky.
Yeah.
That's
Fair
right.
play,
That,
Tommy.
that puzzled the commentary team for
Yeah,
whatever
they
reason.
didn't
Yeah,
seem
I
to.
think they were just,
They
I
had
think
to
they
have
were
been,
they were taking
right?
the piss, as they say. Yeah. By the way, PT, I was on a shoot last night. I'll tell you more about it later. But oh, there he is. There's Big Tom. Look at that. Look at Tom.
He looks
Look at
great,
Tom.
doesn't he?
Yeah, he
Look
looks
at this.
fantastic.
What do you think this little
Yeah,
curly's
what is
doing
that? What
there?
is he,
I
Clark
like
Kent?
that.
What's
He's like
happening
fucking
over there,
Superman
Tommy?
now. Yeah.
He looks fantastic. Anyway, I was on a shoot yesterday, and the makeup artist, this nice young man, starts speaking to me. He's kind of like building up my confidence a little bit. I think that's part of the gig, and I'm like, where's this accent from? I know this accent. And he's like,
No.
oh, I'm from Dublin. I'm like, Dublin? You know yourself. I love Dublin. What can you tell me about Blanchardstown? He's like, Blanchardstown? How do you know about Blanchardstown? No one knows about. I'm like, I know people there. I said, come here. Tell me this. Is it is it really a rough part of town or is it a posh part of town? He's like, you wouldn't want to go to Blanchardstown. I tell you that. I was like, all right, okay, it's settled. And he loved all my sayings. Buzzing, the crack is 90. He was having a blast. He didn't expect
You
it.
rolled
So
them all out too. When
Oh,
you get
I had
you get
everything.
fresh ears, man. Like
I had the whole
He can
freaking
go.
repertoire.
He can just go.
I had the whole
You know the
repertoire.
best you ever were? Like the best I've seen you in the flesh with the Irishness was drummer Katie Taylor at MSG. And
Oh
like there
yeah.
was some Irish guys over there, and he was just walking. You were there as well, Chuck. He's just
Yeah.
walking around talking in this brogue the whole time. It was
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable. You could see people turn around going like, "What the fuck? What the fuck is happening here?" So hopefully
He's
we'll get a
fluent.
sampling of that in July again.
By the way, shout out to New York Rick, who's on the ones and twos. Mysterious Frank is here as well. And I'm seeing that New York Rick is putting up the results. And I think that's his version of the Oscar music, like telling us to hurry the fuck up. Like, yeah, here are the results,
He's got
guys.
places to be.
Keep it rolling. Yep. All right. Very nice. We should have known this was going to be a somber day, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be, when Guram started things off with a loss. We were very excited about that. Of course, GC's doppelganger. But then business picked up. Callan Loughran with a nice win over Nathan Fletcher. And
Huge.
then, I mean, when's the last time we had back-to-back Irish victories in the
Yeah,
UFC?
insane.
Like, it legit, PT. Was the
Yeah, I
last
don't know.
time July of 2014?
I think so. It probably was. Well, no, it would have been. It would have been in that era though, because
Shauna Bannon, by the way, is the second one. Got the submission win. Very impressive.
Brilliant.
After getting knocked down
Yeah.
from a head kick.
crazy. First submission of her career. Obviously came into Paddy Hewlin's gym in Tala as a point scoring kickboxer. She had represented Ireland at a very high level in that sport kickboxing. Her whole family, her father Martin's is a martial arts legend in Ireland. So for her to come away with a UFC submission win is a big nod to the work Paddy Hewlin's doing with her. So congratulations to all them. Close knit team. I even saw a video of, I believe it is Paddy's wife Chelsea and Shauna's mother in the crowd watching it. So like you see the roller coaster emotions. They see her getting hit with a head kick and they're like, oh
Oh
no,
no.
and they're just like, ah,
That is wild.
it's like jumping all over the place. Look, she's a great person. Anyone that has ever spoke to her knows that she's a really really kind person, and it's great to see Ireland winning. It has been a rough time.
It's
So
about
it is
time, yeah.
good to see some wins there. And look, the Caelan Loughran v Nathan Fletcher fight was extremely close. I didn't know what way it was going to go when they were reading out the scorecards, but very important win for Caelan. And look, there's bad blood there. That's an old Liverpool rivalry. I know Caelan's not with Kelbon anymore, but Kelbon and Next Gen used to have a bit of met between them. So a big win for him there. You could see Paddy Pimblett in the crowd reacting to the loss. He devastated, obviously, because so much skin in the game with Nathan Fletcher. Not a great night for Next Gen, but it's a gym with plenty of talent, and obviously a big night coming up with Paddy Pimblett taking on Michael Chandler in the not too distant future.
Shout out to CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, and shout out to Nathaniel Wood. They were the two lone Brits to
Lonard
get their
Kavanagh
hand
as well,
raised.
no? Lonard Kavanagh?
Yeah, Leonard Kavanaugh. Where's he fighting out of these days?
Is he not fighting out of Brad Pickett's team? Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you're right. Well, but is he? Yeah, he is born. Why is his
I think his mother is from Hong Kong.
his flag is China on Tapology here, so I was going off of that. But you're right. You're right. Fair play. So three, I guess. Brits.
2.5. We'll call
Two
it.
and a, well, who are we? But
It's
all
no
right.
Ireland. They're no Ireland, is what you're saying.
Shout
Max.
out.
They're not quite Ireland. 3-0.
Um,
Brady.
CLD
Loughran.
Nathaniel Wood with a nice win over Morgan Charrière,
Yeah.
and a nice post-fight speech as well. Chris Duncan with a big win over Jordan
Let's hear it.
Vucenic. To me, it's Vucenic. I mean, it's like Luka
Oh, no,
Doncic.
it's grand. It's grand. Like, no, you've
it's-
only started covering him today. No, tell me how you fucking say his name.
Literally
again, Ariel.
10
This is
minutes
great.
ago.
Yeah, it's
Submission win, a nice guillotine choke. And we have to mention Molly McCann announcing
yeah.
her retirement. How quickly things change. She loses to Alessia Tainara, a fight that was put together like, I don't know, a week,
Last
10
week.
days ago. Yeah. She loses via rear naked choke in the very first round. Alexia with a tremendous walkout.
I mean,
one of the
if
all-time-
Dana hated the MVP entrance, this
Yeah.
thing was
That
like a whole
entrance-
nother level. I mean, she danced the
And
whole
then there was
way
like a
down.
whole thing when she was going to walk up, with her coach there. There was like a whole session.
Yeah, I
And then
didn't know
the
if they were
post-fight
praying
celebration.
or like breathing on
She's
each other.
screaming.
She's
She's like, yeah, every time they said, yeah, it was great.
yeah. The entrance actually lasted 4 times as long as the actual fight, which I thought was
100%.
interesting. But
Great celebration, but the story, of course, that everyone's talking about is Molly. Afterwards, she gets on the microphone, the gloves are off, she places them in the middle of the cage, and she says goodbye. She says, I'm losing in the first round to someone who took this fight a week ago. I shouldn't be in here. Dana, if you need an ambassador, give me a call. I'm great with the media. Would love to do it to all the girls who looked up to me, all the fighters here. And, it was a nice moment. The crowd still, as you see here, a little, I think, subdued. And then we got like a big reaction out of them when she said, oh, yeah, one more thing, up the effing toffees, which, in case you don't know, is in reference to that, not so successful club Everton. They're hanging on. They're hanging on. It's not a bad last few weeks for them. And then they boo her.
this
for God's
is
sake.
the day to do this. This is
Okay,
not
sorry.
the day. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
And then they boo her. Come on, guys. A little decorum, please. Had she look, Pizzi, had she said, something about the Tories in a
Yeah,
negative way, they would have popped, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Fuck the Tories always gets a
Yeah.
great ovation in
Yes.
in the UK. Look, but Molly, what a career. She's had a great impact on this sport. There's a lot of people come and go out of this game, and they come and go, and it's like they would never wear here. You couldn't say that about Molly McCann. She came in here and she put her flag down. We were all involved. People reacted to her. People felt certain ways about her. She had some brilliant moments in the UK, winning big fights. And I think one of the things that people should take away from this, and specifically fighters, look at what Molly's done in her career, and look at the way she invested her money. She started businesses while she was fighting. So now it's like when she's walking away now, she has a new coffee company she's just opened in Liverpool. She already has Paul Pita. I've ate there myself. It's absolutely fantastic. And the Baltic Quarter, I believe it is, in Liverpool. Like that's the type of thing fighters should be thinking about. It's becoming more and more obvious to me that beyond fighting, there's often a big crisis of identity for fighters when they don't know what to do. They haven't made enough money where they can kind of just sit back and go, okay, let's figure this out over the next 10 years. I think that's something that everyone should take from Molly. Like she's invested her money well, and she now has a career to go into outside of fighting that will support her whatever she wants to do next, if she wants to do anything in the fight game moving forward.
Well said. Well said, Pete. Chuck, we used to do this thing on the pod. It was the pod, by the way, was called the Ringer MMA Show. We had a grand old time.
I do recall that now that you're
good friends. And by the way, a good shout out to our old friend TST, wherever he may be, whether it's in parts unknown or in New Hampshire, to be exact. He's hosting a great podcast. I believe it's called Seacoast Stories.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably snuggling with a cup of Joe right now as we speak. Maybe some tea.
What's that downward facing dog? He's
Yes. Chuck, any final thoughts? Any final thoughts?
R.I.P. to Big George Foreman. You guys saw that last night?
Of course.
I honestly think that when I got into reading about boxing, following boxing, that he was just a huge part of it. He was just a bigger than life figure who reinvented himself through decades, which is just a crazy thing when I really think about it. From being a heavyweight champion back in the 1970s, the golden era of heavyweights, all the way to the 1990s, at 45 years old, recapturing the title, becoming a completely different human being over the course of life. He was known as just almost, you could talk to guys like Derek Lewis, who got to know him in Houston, things like that. And you understand the impact he kind of had just behind the scenes in people's lives, but just the transformation that man underwent to become the George Foreman that we knew in the later years is just an amazing story. If you haven't looked into that, you should look up anything that George Foreman did. It's one of the more remarkable lives, not just in a boxing ring, but in general. And it really, sometimes you get the news that these guys die, man, it really, really hits you. And that was one of those for me. And I know that you pay attention to all the old boxers and stuff, but the Rumble in the Jungle, man, it's still in my mind, one of the great fight game lores. I think it really drew me into, because of the number of writers that kind of went to that and wrote about it. It kind of drew me to the fight game. So RIP to the big man.
Absolutely. Tremendously said. Do yourself a favor. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this and you've never seen When We Were Kings, do yourself a favor and watch that, because people think of George Foreman, in the later years, he's a big old teddy bear, right? He's a big old teddy bear. He's a big guy. He comes back, the win over Michael Moore, all that stuff and more. And Jim Lampley, every time Jim Lampley cannot immediately start crying while talking about George Foreman. I can't imagine what he was like yesterday upon hearing the news, but the story of it happened, and that of course is the title of his upcoming autobiography. But you go back and watch When We Were Kings. Obviously, that happened before we were born, and you see how terrifying he was. Like, people thought that they were sending Muhammad Ali out to slaughter. That this guy, who was a mountain of a man, who wasn't warm and cuddly, he was the complete opposite, was going to kill Muhammad Ali. And I'll never forget, my favorite scene from that documentary is them talking about one of the media workouts and him hitting the heavy bag.
Yeah, Norman Mailer.
Yes, and the dent in the thing.
He says he's leaving dents the size of watermelons. He'd never seen anybody hit a heavy bag like that, including like Sonny Liston and some of the big, sluggers of the day. I remember that 100%. It always stuck with me too, man, because you could see it. You could see visibly what he was doing to that bag.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. And also what's amazing about him is, my wife knows nothing about fighting. She knows who George Foreman is because of the Foreman Grill. Like the fact that he was able to reinvent it. There's a tweet out there that has like 250,000 likes that I saw, where it's like a text message to someone, and someone says something like Foreman died, and someone says like, check the fuse, it might be out, and like, so people just like his name. And the guy writes like, this is how I found out that George Foreman passed away. Like, his name was associated with like a cooking device. just speaks to the success that he had, and also there's a great story about him taking just like a fixed amount of money or royalties, and he took the royalties, and then he was eventually, I think he cashed out at like 180 million or something like that. So
Yeah.
But wasn't it Hulk
crazy.
Hogan was offered the grill first, and
I think Hulk
said
Hogan
no.
says that story, but I don't know how accurate
He
that
gets
story
an
is.
energy drink or something instead. I don't know.
He did a pasta thing, Hogan, like Hogan spaghetti or something like that. But in any event, yes, absolutely. Rest in peace to the big man, George Foreman. What a larger than life hero in the world of combat sports. No major MMA on tonight, guys. But if you're jonesing, there is Dirty Boxing 1. Going on right now on Mike Perry's YouTube channel. It's happening as we speak. So if you're jonesing for a little Dirty Boxing 1 featuring the likes of Yoel Romero and Andrei Arlovsky, and over on Amazon Prime in most parts of the world, the Towering Inferno, Sebastian Fundora returning to action against Cordell Booker in his first fight since his thrilling victory over Tim Tszyu. Earlier this morning, by the way, George Kambosos with a big win over Jack Wiley in Sydney, and Sky Nicholson dropping her losing to Tiara
Didn't see
Brown.
that one coming.
Yeah,
That's a surprise.
that's a big shock for the scene and for Matchroom as well. We shall talk about all of this and much more on Monday's program. Go to uncrowned.com right now. The likes of Chuck Mindenhall and Petesy Carroll and many, many more will have thoughts, reaction, all kinds of great stuff. Shout out to Darshan. This guy doesn't sleep, Darshan. You want him to do a live blog, Sydney card in the morning. You want him to do a live blog, and he lives in Europe, I'll say. You want him to do a live blog for Sebastian Fundora? He'll do that too. The guy he reminds me of a young whippersnapper once known as young Petesy Carroll, who wasn't going out on the town with the likes of Shane Gills, just
Well, what can I do? I'm in
anything.
demand, mate. You know what I mean? I'm in demand. That's all. I don't know what to tell you. You're gonna have to share me now, Helwani.
Love you guys. This was fun. Let's do it again.
It's fun, man.
Appreciate
Love
it
you
very
too.
much. Rick, you can hit our music.
Rick hates this. He absolutely
He's
hates
ju-
this
well,
whole thing.
Rick has so many hot takes that he's just
Yeah.
like dying to fire
know.
off. And he's like,
No, he looks like he wants.
You
us
guys are
dead.
wrong.
I'm
He's like
looking at
marking
him.
them all
wants to-
down. You guys are
he
wrong on
wants
this
to
point, wrong
contradict
on
us. He wants. Oh, what just happened? Did he just shut us off? Is that him? He wants to fire off. He has some contrarian take. Well, you'll have to wait for
Stirring it
Monday
up.
for all of that because we're out of time. Enjoy your evening, everyone.